So slide screen, slide screen, slide screen. Can you see the slides now?
Yes.
You can see. Okay, so this is a magnetic conductor. Why we call as a magnetic conductor? Because it has got a coil inside. So normally you see whenever the starter, whenever you have a problems, you'll find this coil, sometimes it get burned or the insulation of the coil drops. So you need to check the ohmic value of this coil winding. When it becomes weak, it will not operate the contacts. So that is the reason it is known as a magnetic conductor. This white one is a magnetic conductor. This is a coil which is inside. So when you give a supply to this coil will get energized and it makes a magnet and pull the contact. So what are the general maintenance, what you carry out on a magnetic conductor? You can see the preventive maintenance, also few replacement of conductors. These are the general maintenance what you carry out on a starter conductor. Then this is a magnetic conductor with an overload relay. We will see the different type of overload relays in the coming slides. Now next one is the reduced voltage starters. Reduced voltage starters are the star delta starters. We are reducing the voltage during starting so that the starting current can be controlled. So reduced voltage starting connects the motor winding terminals at a lower voltage than the normal voltage during the initial starting period to reduce the inrush current when the motor starts. So the current inrush from the motor starting adversely affect the voltage drop on the electrical system. So that is also another fact. You cannot start motor with a very high starting current so that it can affect the whole systems also on board ship. So that is the reasons we use a reduced voltage starting. And it's also needed to reduce the mechanical starting shock, because when you start a full voltage, when you apply, there'll be a shock to the motors. So that is why we use direct online starter only for the motors below 10 HP, and above 10 HP we'll use star delta starters or auto transformer starters or soft starters. You see the difference between star delta starter and the soft starter. Soft starter means there is no jerk. It is slowly, the voltage is slowly ramped up. You know, in star delta, what you are applying a reduced voltage, because star and delta, your phase voltage will become √3 of your line voltage. So it's a reduced voltage, and it runs in low voltage first, and once it picks up the speed, it changes over into delta. So that changeover, that can be a jerk. So these things will not take place in case of a soft starter. It's a smooth starting. So that is why we are using soft starter. So soft starter is also used only for starting. VFD also can be used for starting, but VFD can be used for starting as well as speed control. But star delta starter, auto transformer starter, and soft starters is only used for the soft starting purpose. So another reason is reducing the voltage, reduces the current inrush to the motor, also reduces the starting torque available when the motor starts. This all NMEA. NMEA means National Electrical Manufacturers Association. Induction motor will accept reduced voltage starting. However, it may not provide enough starting torque in some situations. So starting torque will be less. So AC motor controls, we have seen various type of starting method. So reduced voltage means solid state starters, electronic starters, primary resistance starters, auto transformer starters, hot winding starters, star delta starters. Let's see what are the various protections available in the motor starter. So we will see all of them in details. Let's discuss like overcurrent protection, over voltage protections, and other type of protections. So other type of protections means like you can have different protections like low voltage protection, phase failure protection, and phase reversal protection, ground fault protection, bearing temperature protection, winding temperature protection, phase and balance protection, vibration monitoring protection. So these are the various lot of other protections. We will see them in detail. Let's come to this low voltage current protection and the voltage protection. Overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection means it's basically it's interrupt the electrical circuit to the motor in case of excessive current demand on the supply system from either a short circuit or a ground fault. Overcurrent protection is required to protect personnel, motor, and conductors, control equipments, motor from these high currents. Now, overcurrent protection is usually provided in form of fuses or circuit breakers. Circuit breakers. These devices operate when short circuit or ground fault or extremely heavy load occurs. Most overcurrent sources produce extremely large currents. Overload protection is installed in the motor circuit. Yes. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, overload protection is installed in the motor circuit. It is basically to protect motor from the damage from mechanical overload conditions. Like see, when you have the bearing get jammed, or suppose your pump is jammed, which is driving a motor is driving a pump, and pump gets jammed or something. So this condition, there can be an overload. So the effect on the overload is basically excessive rise in temperature and the motor winding due to the current higher than the full load current. And unlike common instantaneous type fuses and breakers, overload devices are designed to allow high currents to flow briefly in the motor to allow for like typical starting current up to 6 to 8 times normal running current and when starting. So motor overload relays protect motor against overloading and single phasing. Overload relays is the first one to act in the event of a fault and provides a primary protection to the motor. You can see in this diagram here, the bimetal elements each carrying a line current heat up when the line current exceeds the rated load current. So it will bend and open a contact in the circuit of the conductor coil, thereby disconnecting the motor from the power supply. Overload is always connected in series with a coil supply. So whenever an overload takes place, the overload coils opens up the control supply for the conductor, and conductor opens and motor trips. And what is a backup protection means? In case of the overload fails to operate. Okay, there was a question like what is a fuse backup protection? In case overload relay fails to operate or in a locked rotor conditions. What is a locked rotor current? Locked rotor current means when motor is just started or when it is just starting, what is that current? That is called the locked rotor current. Like in case of a direct online starter, when you just start the motor, that current at the starting is called the locked rotor current. So in case an overload relay fails to operate or in a locked rotor conditions take place, then the main fuse will blow, safeguarding the motor against the excessive current. So this is called the backup protection, fuse backup protection. Okay, it was asked what is a fuse backup protection. In case if your overload fails to operate in a locked rotor condition, then the main fuse will blow and safeguarding your motor against an excessive current. Fuses may be replaced in circuit breakers with short circuit protection also. So you can see the overload coil here. This overload coil is connected. The main supply for the control, the coil supply is connected through this overload coil. Whenever the overload coil operates, this will open the supply for the conductor and the motor trips. Now, difference between overcurrent and the overload protections. See, overcurrent protection is a protection against short circuits. It generally operates instantaneous. An overcurrent relay is used to protect equipment against a high abnormal current. So these relays can be time delayed also. It is like, or it can be instantaneous type also. It can be inverse time also. This can be delayed. Overload protection is against overheating. It operates slower. Overload protection typically operates on an inverse time curve where the tripping time becomes less as the current increases. So overload protection is a protection against running an overcurrent that could cause overheating on the protected equipment. Hence, the overload is also a type of overcurrent, we can say. In simply, overload relays a bimetallic strip, or it can be a bimetallic strip also. It can be a thermistor also can be used. It is being heated by the load, current squared, and convention cooled by the surrounding air. So the main difference is that the overcurrent protection is for the whole things, the whole starter. If you see, the overcurrent is for everything, like including the cable, including the motor and everything. But the overload is only for that particular equipment. This is another main important difference between overcurrent and overload. So the other protections like low voltage protections. Protection device operates to disconnect the motor when the supply voltage drops a preset level. That is a low voltage protection. See, it is not necessary that you will find all this protection in a starter, but these are the general protections. Low voltage protections. So motor must be tripped in case when the voltage drops to a certain level. This is the low voltage protection, and low voltage release also. Protection device interrupts the circuit when the supply drops below preset values. Phase failure protection is very important. You see, you can see in this diagram what is a phase failure relay. You see, this is the relay on your left side, right side one is what is the inside connections. See, this relay, it has got a connection L1, L2, L3, which is coming from a three-phase supply. So whenever this three-phase, one of the phase goes, L1 and L2, L3, suppose let's say L1 phase has gone. In this case, what happened? You see here, there's a relay which is inside. You see TC and TA and TB. This relay will operate. And basically this relay is also connected in the same series circuit of the main contactor KM. So suppose one of the phase failure take place, this will open. This TA relay will open and trip the motor. So this is called phase failure. So now here how it is happening is that three-phase supply L1 and L2 is given here, and when any of the phase fails, this relay will open here and trips the main contactor. So this is called phase failure protection. So this will interrupt the power in all the phases of a three-phase circuit upon failure of any one phase. So if any one phase fails, it will interrupt the power. So normal fusing and overload protection may not be adequately protect a polyphase motor from damaging a single phase operation. So here the advantage is that the single phasing, suppose a single phasing take place, it will trip the motor or starter. So with this protection, the motor will continue to operate. Motor will, if there is no single protection, it will continue to operate if one phase is lost. But with this phase failure protection, it will trip the motor. Hope this diagram is clear to you. This is the relay, looks like this. So you have three connections here like L1 and L2, L3, and here you have only one control connection, that is TA is connected here. So whenever any one phase fails, this will open and open the main contactor, it will trip. Phase reversal protection. You see, this is also, as I told you, it is not mandatory to have all these protections, but you will find it in some starters. Phase reversal. Now, where we need a phase reversal protection? This is basically required like we have elevators or cranes and all now, which you don't want to rotate in the reverse directions. So used wherever running motor backwards would cause a operational or safety problems. Most of the three-phase motors will run in the opposite direction by switching the connections of any two phases. But this device will interrupt the power to the motor upon direction of the phase reversal in a three-phase supply circuit. This type of protection is used in applications like elevator, where it can cause damages or dangerous to the motor if it runs in the reverse directions. How it works, you see the relay looks like this, phase reversal protection. This is basically it's a static relay here. It has got a three-phase connections here, you can see A, B, C. Whenever the phase gets changed, it will stop, it will trip. You see here, this has got a contact here, NO contact. If the three-phase rotation is in proper clockwise direction, then only this will get energized, this normally open contact, and the circuit completes for the main contactor. If the phase reversal take place, this will trip. This NO contact will open, so this circuit will not complete. Example like cranes, hoist, lift, belt conveyor belts. The belt conveyor motor mechanical gears are having a mechanical reverse direction protection arrangement. Solid state relay. This is a solid state relay. This will sense the phase sequence of the motor, and whenever the phase sequence change, it will trip. So this is called phase reversal protection. Can you see the slides? Hello, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can see.
You can see or not?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay,
We can see.
I have sent you all the slides. Yesterday's and today's, all the additional slides I send it to you in your email ID. You can also see there is no need that even if you see it's not clear, you can go through the slides And you can come back to me, like if any of the slides you want more explanation, I can explain to you. Okay, so all the slides I sent it to you.
Sir.
Last classes, yesterday's class, today's class also. So then now, so what we have seen is phase reversal protection. Phase reversal protection. Then next one is the ground fault protections. And ground fault protection means it operates one phase of the motor shorts to ground, preventing high currents from damaging the stator windings and the iron core. So here ground fault protection operates on the principle of an imbalance between the neutral and phase conductors. So whenever a ground fault occurs in an electrical system, energized components makes contact with the grounded components, resulting in a current flowing through the grounding conductors. So when current that would normally flow back to the service entrance by the neutral conductors now diverted to the ground. So less current is flowing back to the neutral conductors and what initially left through the phase conductor. So current transformers are used to sense how much current is flowing through a conductor. So there are two main current transformer arrangements used for this. You can see this. This is a current transformers are used in this. Whenever there is a ground current increases more than the acceptable limits, it will activate these alarms and trip the starter circuits. The other protections are bearing temperature monitors for protection, winding temperatures, current differential relays, phase and balance, and vibration monitors. You see the bearing temperature monitors are normally, it is like it can be RTDs, which is sensing the bearing temperature, and whenever the temperature exceeds more than the limits, it gives a warning alarm. Winding temperatures, we are using thermistors. Thermistors generally can go up to 200 degrees centigrade. So thermistors thermistors are placed inside the windings. So whenever the temperature goes high, the motor, you cannot start the motor or motor will trip. So mostly you'll find this type of winding temperature sensors like transformers, generators, motors. Inside the winding, you'll find the thermistors. They always have, in generators and transformers, you'll find maybe two sets, like one standby also. In case main thermistor fails, you can use the standby. And heavy duty motors also it is used. Not for normal motors, heavy duty motors also they are using the thermistors for winding temperature. So bearing temperature, winding temperature, differential relays. This is a phase and balance. So basically to check the phase and balance. And vibration monitors. Let's see this, how it is working, vibration monitors and the phase and balance. You see here a relay which protects the electrical system from a negative sequence component is called the negative sequence relay or unbalanced phase relay. So then negative sequence relay protects the generator and motor from unbalanced load. Here you can see the CTs. There are 3 CTs, which is the output is connected to a relay here. So whenever there is an unbalance between these 3 phases, the relay will get activated and it can trip. So whenever the lines are unbalanced, there will be an unequal heating in the stator winding. So an unbalanced system gives to the flow of the negative phase sequence currents. Negative phase sequence currents gives rise to the negative rotating field, which causes additional heating of the rotor and heat losses. So an imbalance in the system is an indirect measure of the generator stator and rotor temperatures. So in case of a generator, that means there is an indirect measure of the generator stator and rotor temperature. Also, it can cause unbalance in the system. So if the unbalance exceeds more than the permissible values, the net value of the currents monitored by the current transformer will actuate an unbalanced NPS relay, negative phase sequence relay, to trip out the generator breakup, or in case in motor also it can be used unbalancing. Unbalanced relays can be used. Vibration monitors and detections. You see most of the heavy duty motors, wherever you have compressors and etc. and all fans, heavy duty fans, we're using the vibration monitors. See, the sensors are used to measure the vibration, comes in 3 types. One is the displacement, velocity, and acceleration. An accelerometer, it's a sensor that produces an electric signal that is proportional to the acceleration of the vibrating equipment to which the accelerometer is attached. So what happens is that the acceleration signal produced by the accelerometer is passed to an instrument that will convert the signal into a velocity signal. Okay, so depending upon the user's choice, the signal can be displayed as a velocity waveform or a velocity spectrum. So velocity spectrum is derived from a velocity waveform by means of a mathematical calculation. You can see this velocity. This is what the accelerometer sensor is here. This is the vibration source. And you see this is the acceleration data. And when you convert this data into a velocity spectrum, you get like this. You see this amplitude. That means this velocity signal is very high. That means the vibration is very high. So most machines have a rotary mechanisms. Motor, pumps, compressors, fans, belt, gearboxes. You see many gearboxes. You'll find everywhere these sensors are installed, these accelerometers. So most rotary mechanism in turn have a bearings also. In the bearing also you'll find this that supports the weight of the rotating parts and bear the forces associated with the rotary motions. So you'll find these sensors placed everywhere. And these sensors which will give the signal. This is converted into 4 to 20 milliamps. The output from the vibration sensor is 4 to 20 milliamps. That is given to the PLC unit. So whenever the acceleration exceeds more than the limits, PLC will activate the signals to trip these machineries. So vibration measurements are usually taken at the bearings of the machines, like fans, all these places you'll find the sensors. So this is the purpose of vibration sensor. It is basically used like compressor, fans, gearbox, even on the generators, on the main engine, everywhere you'll find this pickup sensors. So the pickup sensors are the accelerometers that reading from the sensors is coming to a PLC unit, which will convert this into 4 to 20 milliamps and given to PLC output input sections. And whenever the vibration exceeds more than the limits, it will activate an alarm or it can trip the machinery. So vibration is coming in 3 basic types, that is displacement, velocity, acceleration. We measure the vibration basically on 3 places. One is horizontal, vertical, and axial. So these are the 3 places we take measurement: axial vibration, vertical vibrations, horizontal vibrations. Type of the overcurrent devices. You see there are overcurrent devices. One is standard fuses, time delay fuses, instantaneous circuit breakers, inverse time circuit breakers. So these are the selection of a size of an overcurrent protection device is made using NEC table, which lists information for 4 type of devices. So the table is used to size the device above the normal starting current level for the most motors. So here if you are using a non-time delay fuse for a 3-phase motor, that means it is up to 300%. That means NEC allows standard fuses overcurrent protection device size up to maximum 300% of the motor's full load current. So this is non-time delay fuse. Standard fuse protect against short circuit and ground fault using thermal features to sense a heat buildup. Once the fuse is blown, then you can use. But the NEC allows normal time fuses can be sized. Sizing means how much we can use. The value is up to maximum 175% of full load current if it is time delay fuses. If it is not time delay fuses, it can use up to 300%. Hope you understood. Non-time delay fuses up to 300% of the full load current. If it is delay fuses, it is 175% of the full load current. Circuit breakers. So there are 2 types of circuit breakers we will discuss here. What is instantaneous and inverse time? You see, instantaneous circuit breakers do exactly what it says. Instantaneous means immediate. When the current in the circuit breaker reaches to a value that the breaker trip mechanism is set, it will trip immediate. No time delay. That is, it is known as an instantaneous breakers. So NEC recognizes 2 types of breakers: instantaneous type breakers and inverse time breakers. This is the inverse time breakers. Inverse time breakers, on the other hand, has a time delay that will allow the breaker to delay the tripping off. The amount of the time delay decreases as the current increases. That is why it is known as inverse time. That means if the current increases, the time delay will decrease. If the current is less, time delay will become more. So this you can see single pole, double pole, 3 pole. So inverse time tripping is a characteristic of a circuit breaker in which breaker trips more time with the lower current, less time with the higher current. Instantaneous means immediate. Inverse time breakers have both thermal and instantaneous trip features and preset to trip at the standard levels. So this is the inverse time breakers. You can see here how you size the inverse time breakers. If it is 480 volt, then percentage of load held is 300%. Time is 9 seconds. So this is a chart. This is from your handout of these charts. Instantaneous circuit breakers responds to immediate values of the current from a short circuit, ground fault, on locked rotor current. Locked rotor current means rotor cannot turn. So that time how much is the current? Immediate trip. This type of breaker will never trip from a slow heat buildup due to the motor windings or overheating. So as per the NEC, it allows instantaneous circuit breakers to be sized up to 800% full load current of the motors. Some instantaneous type breakers have adjustable trip setting. You see on this breaker, you see there is a setting on this on the bottom. You can see here. Here you can set this time delay and all. You can set it. Instantaneous. You can set the time delay if you want. You can set it here. Fundamental characteristic of a circuit breaker. You see, you must have seen MCCBs. There are some basic parameters which is always important while selecting any breaker. What is the rated operator voltage? See, you may not find it like V or anything. It will be written UE. UE stands for rated operator voltage. This is the voltage at which the circuit breaker has been designed to operate in normal conditions. Rated current is written IN. This is the maximum value of a current that circuit breaker fitted with a specified overcurrent tripping relay can carry indefinitely at an ambient temperature stated by the manufacturer. Overload relay trip current, that you can see IR or IRTH. This is called the trip current settings, is the current above which the circuit breaker will trip. It also represents the maximum current that circuit breaker can carry without tripping. Then short circuit relay. Short circuit relay trip current is known as the IM. This is the short circuit tripping relays are intended to trip a circuit breaker rapidly on the occurrence of a high value of fault current. So understanding the circuit breaker specifications, as I told you, like rated operator voltage, rated insulation voltage, rated impulse withstand voltage, rated current, service breaking capacities, ultimate breaking capacities, mechanical life, electrical life. So these are the basic specifications you'll find. There was a question like what are the specifications you'll find on a circuit breaker. If the question is asked, you can write all these 3 points. What you'll find, like what is rated voltage, what is rated insulation voltage, what is rated impulse withstand voltage, rated current, service breaking capacity, ultimate breaking capacity, mechanical life, electrical life. Okay, coming next topic is the overload protections. We know motor has got an overload protection. The overload protection relay is always connected in series with the control supply of the magnetic conductor. Whenever the overload takes place, it cuts off the power for the magnetic conductor, motor, the starter of trips, and the motor will stop. You see, basically there are 3 types of overload relays. Most commonly used are magnetic type, thermal overload type, electronic type, and fuses. Overload devices are used located in the motor starter and connected in series with the motor electrical supply circuit and can be operated either by magnetic or thermal actions. So the same amount of the current passes through the overload relay and the motor. If the current or overheat current or the heat through the overload device higher than the device setting, it trips and shuts the electric power to the motor. So this is a magnetic type. So one is a magnetic type and the other is a thermal type. This is a metal alloy type and this is a bimetallic type. So this magnetic overload relays means it's a magnetic overload relays in electromechanical relay operated by the current flow in the circuit. So when the level of the current in the circuit reaches to a preset value, the increased magnetic field opens a set of contact. You can see here, this will operate this. This is a coil here. When it operates this will cut off the power. So when it opens this, the power is connected here. This is the control supply. So normally you'll find these control coils are 220 volt or 110 volts. Mostly 110 volts or 220 or 24 volt you won't find. Mostly it is 110 or 220. The 440 is also there. So this will break the control supply for the coil. So this contact will open because this is a magnetic element, and whenever the current exceeds more than the preset value, this has to be designed in such a way that whenever the current exceeds This coil will operate this and it pulls the plunger and the contact gets open. Yes? Yeah? And then
Sir, when we are talking about overloading, is it current or temperature? Because I saw there is a bimetallic strip over there.
yes, overload means it is a heating. You see, suppose the bearing, suppose the pump bearing gets stuck, what will happen in this case? Motor is become a locked rotor current. The locked rotor current will increase. So the current will increase. So it's a heating effect. So because of this current increases, the heating, this thermal overload means it will get this bimetallic strip, it will open. If it is like other type, which I told you magnetic, then also this, because of the current, this magnetic coil will